Hello, everybody. Welcome to the bank essay class. Now we are going to be writing an essay. This is the scenario given to us, and and the question is write an essay containing all the information explained at the aforementioned scenario. Cool. So this is the scenario. Let's see what is happening here before we move on. Cool. So you were not well threatened at the building society and neither at the credit union. So we went to So basically, you went to two different places and you were not well threatened. Therefore, you decided to open an account at the bank account at the city in London. So, okay, you were asked you were asked which type of account you wanted to open, savings or everyday account, and you decided to open both for different needs. Afterwards, afterwards, you decided to schedule the payment of your rent, which happens monthly, and schedule a bank transfer to pay a friend of yours who you borrowed money from. Moreover, you used your credit card to purchase a few sports clothes at different branches, such as Nike and Adidas. Is it spelled correctly? Adidas. Adidas. Yeah, Adidas. Yeah. Okay, cool. So before beginning this transaction, your available balance was 3,550 euros, and now is zero. So you spent pretty much everything on clothes. The banker asked you to show your proof of identity, also your ID. Okay, provide your name and address, and gave your documents to the bank manager. After finalizing the opening process, you asked the bank manager to provide you with a personal loan and it was approved. Cool? Approved. As a result, you had to cash the money of out from a bank teller located at the bank. Okay, cool. So there is heaps happening. In this case, let's just pick a few points here. So to begin with, the main thing, so the main idea here, so main idea, I just put this. I don't know why it's there. Okay, main idea. I just put a separator here. So main idea, um, to open a bank account and request a loan. Cool. So this is the main idea. Now, yeah, that's it. Now, what we are going to be doing is we are going to be reading what happened here step by step, and then we will include. So our essay will have between 4 and 5 paragraphs, not more than that. And yeah, let me break this down here. So insert, new, view. So view, I want to view, split. Yeah, cool. Insert, page break. Cool. Okay, so the first thing is to get this main idea and put it straight at the first paragraph. Cool. So let's say the importance, the importance of opening a bank account. Let's leave requests alone for later because opening the bank account is more important. The importance of opening a bank account, which has always been discussed, has now become more important. More important. It can be strongly agreed upon the fact that I don't like when this AI is working. When agreed upon the fact that this matter The matter referring to opening a bank account. Upon the fact that this matter, it can be strongly agreed upon the fact that this matter, upon the fact that this matter has some convincing arguments despite the contentions about it. Why despite the contentions about it? Basically because some people nowadays they say that opening a bank account is not that important as you just can open, a digital bank account. For example, in Brazil there is a bank called Nubank where you can just open your bank account and then you put money in and you don't even need to go to the bank. You send all the documents through your web browser and that's it. That's really simple and easy. Cool. Okay, despite the contentions about it. Despite the contentions about it. Okay, now you have already given the an introduction of what you're going to talk about. So now what you can say is what you will be developing, and then you need to include the second main idea. So the first was to open a bank account and now request a loan. So let's say the importance, let's say this essay will discuss how open no, how we discuss not only the importance of opening a bank account, but also the let's say this not discuss the necessity. Cool? The necessity of opening a bank account, but also the importance of requesting a loan. Cool? So your first paragraph is done. Is done. So this essay will discuss not only the necessity of opening a bank account, but also the importance of requesting a loan. So, really simple. Really simple. Okay, now let's go to the second paragraph. Okay, so to begin your second paragraph, you can begin saying like firstly, or perhaps first and foremost, or even at the outset. So you can begin with any of them, okay? With any of them. Let's use at the outset here. So at the outset, there are numerous reasons why opening a bank account has some negative aspects. So like requesting a loan is not something negative, positive. Well, it depends on how your financial literacy, how good is your financial literacy. Okay, so opening a bank account has some negative aspects, but the most alarming one is the fact that people can request loans and it can lead to and it can lead to and it can lead to negligence negligence yeah, you need to spell it negligence and also and also and also paying high interest Cool. So they are negative things. So they are negative things. Why do I need to? Why do I? Not that I need, but why? Why is it? Why is it not important? But why do I begin the essay talking about the negative aspect? Basically, because then I'm gonna talk about the positive aspect, and I will conclude the essay. Cool. That's as simple as that. So let's see now to keep going. Okay, now let's connect using nevertheless. Nevertheless, it can be a contributing factor too. Now let's develop better more the essay. Now let's develop more the essay talking about, talking about what the scenario says. So you were not well threatened at a building society and neither at a credit union. Therefore, you decided to open a bank account at the bank account in the city in London. Okay. So nevertheless, it can be a contributing factor to not being well threatened at all at all places that can provide this service. As an example, as an example, some workers at building society and credit unions do not treat people as they deserve when they decide to open bank accounts, open accounts, open accounts. For this reason, many people, or let's say many persons, because we already used people, right? So it's not good to use the same word all the time. That's why developing your vocabulary is extremely important. So for this reason, many persons are more likely to open accounts at the bank at at banks at banks. Cool, at banks. Okay, so yeah, so we have already covered this one, talking about the negative. Now, see, this is a personal. So therefore, you decided to open an account at the bank account at the city in London. So here you can say, by knowing this, and also after being a real life example of how not to be treated, I decided to open an account at the bank in in the city. Uh, sorry, in the city in London. Cool, done. So you spoke about the negative reasons, about the negative things, and you finished saying what this line is saying. opening a bank account in the bank in London. So now you were asked which type of account you wanted to open, savings or everyday account. So here you can join them, and you decided to open both for different needs. So see, so you can join all of this in one paragraph only, because you have many things to talk about. So how do we summarize that? So after being a real life example of how not to be treated, I decided to open an account. I decided to open a savings and everyday. So everyday account has another name. Instead of using everyday account, you can say a and a transaction account at the bank in the city in London. Cool. So that's it. So everything here has already been covered. Now, afterwards, you decided to schedule the payment of your rent, which so see you have already opened the bank account. Now you decided to schedule the payment of your rent, which happens monthly, and schedule a bank transfer to pay a friend of yours who you borrowed money from. So here you are going to schedule a bank. So this is a good thing. So this is important to mention in a paragraph where you are going to be using um, where you are going to be talking about positive things. Cool. Moreover, you use your credit card to purchase a few sports clothes at different branches, such as Nike and Adidas. Before beginning this transaction, your available balance was 3,550 pounds, euros, and now is zero. Cool. So this is interesting, right? Because here you have already opened, you are already scheduling things, and you will pay, and you are gonna spend a little bit of money. So the banker, and now the banker asks you to show your proof of identity, provide your name and address, and give your documents to the bank manager. After finalizing the opening process, you ask the bank manager to provide you with a personal loan, and it was approved. Okay, so here what we are gonna do, I will just change this. The banker asks you, so the ID, finalizing the opening process, it was okay. So this part here, so needs to come here. See, because you are opening the bank account here, so all of these we can put together. I decided to open a savings and transaction account at the bank in the city in London, in London, and to do that, I provided, I provided, or I had to do that. I had to provide my my proof of identity. So which one? Which one can you use? If you are over 18, of course you can provide your my driver's driver's license. My driver's license. So that's one ID that you can provide. Yep. So my driver's license. So I had to provide my driver's license with together with my what? With my the banker asked you to show your proof of identity, address, and you gave your documents to bank manager. And address and gave your document to the bank manager. Okay, so license together with my. So now I need to provide a. What do I have to provide? I have to provide a. I have to provide a. Um, I have to provide you ask the bank manager to provide you. Okay, so my electricity, electricity bill. So your electricity bill has your address. Cool. That's it. After finalizing the opening process, you ask the bank manager to provide you with a personal loan, and it was approved. Okay, so asking a personal loan, we are saying that it is something negative. The paragraph is already big, so we need to move on, right? It's something negative. However, you asked, they need, and it was approved. So it was approved, and then afterwards, you decided to schedule the payment of your rent, which happens monthly basis. Okay. So now, how can we move on and begin another paragraph? Cool. Okay. So here, instead of saying at the outset, we can also say on one hand. On one hand, uh, let's leave it at the outset. Cool. Now, we need to connect the first paragraph with the second paragraph. So we can say second of all, or secondly, some people tend to believe that opening a bank account can be addressed with some positive facets as well. Some positive facets. It can be addressed with some positive, some positive things. Some positive facets as well. Now we need to explain the positive things. Okay, so here we can say, however, the most predominant one stems from the fact that now we begin talking about the positive things. Cool. So what are the positive things? So you asked the bank manager to provide you with a personal loan, and it was approved. Cool. It was approved. The most predominant one stems from the fact that being approved, that requesting a personal loan and being approved is something to commemorate. Double M. To commemorate. So after finalizing, so you mentioned that, and it's something to commemorate. Now you can bring your personal experience to commemorate. To commemorate. I can say that because I was extremely happy when that happened, when my loan was approved. Cool. Now you mentioned a positive thing, and you mentioned your personal experience. Now, afterwards, you decided to schedule the payment. Now you can talk about what you happened. Moreover, when my loan was approved, I decided to schedule the payment of my rent for the 10th of every month. That's it. Which happens monthly and schedule a bank transfer to pay a friend. Okay, on a monthly basis and schedule. Additionally, I also decided to bank transfer to pay a friend of yours. I also decided to schedule the payment of a debt 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 I had with a friend of mine. See, it's just in order not to use all the words that has been given to you. So you need to change it. Okay, so you have already used these two. Now, moreover, you used your credit cards to purchase a few sports clothes at different branches, such as Nike and Adidas, before beginning this transaction. Okay, so now we need to finish this paragraph. We need to finish this paragraph or to conclude, because the paragraph is already big. Let's see if I leave this like that. Month. Additionally, I also decided to schedule a payment of a debt I had with a friend of mine. Cool. Yeah, we can put perhaps one more line. Moreover, additionally. Moreover, you used. Yeah, so let's say here. Let's use this one here. And then we leave the last line to conclude, okay? So additionally, now okay, for instance, here, for instance, used my used my credit card to purchase a few sports clothes at Nike and Adidas to play soccer and tennis. Now we can also say how much was spent. The amount the amount spent was 3,000. Cool. That's it. Now to conclude, we can use before beginning the transaction. So now to conclude, yeah, the result. Yeah. So to conclude, how can we conclude this? Give me one sec. Okay, so to conclude, it can be assumed that the importance of opening one or more, let's say opening more than one bank account can be assumed that the importance is not only necessary but also essential. Even though it can bring some negative aspects, they should not negative aspects such as, yeah, as a result you had to cash the money out of the bank teller. Okay, no, So your available balance was 3,550 and now is zero. Okay, so even though it can bring some negative aspects, such as spending more than spending more than we actually have, then spending more than the available funds. Okay, so even though it can bring some negative aspects, such as spending more than the available funds. So even though it can bring some negative aspects, they should not be overlooked. Now you need to finish with the final statement. So as a result, you had to cash the money out from a bank teller located at the bank. Cool. So now you can finish with a personal opinion of a personal a personal fact that happened with you. In my case, the the negative aspect was that I had to cash the money from my loans money from the bank teller located at the bank. Located at the bank, which was not the best thing for me, but I managed to do it anyway. Yeah, so to conclude, it can be assumed that the importance of opening more than one bank account is not only necessary but also essential. Or we can also say not only essential but also necessary. Necessary. Even though it can bring some negative aspects, such as spending more than the available funds, they should not be overlooked. So the negative aspects should not be overlooked. In my case, the negative aspect was that I had to cash the loans money from the bank teller located at the bank, which was not the best thing for me, but I managed to do it anyway. So that's a simple conclusion. That's a simple conclusion, a straightforward conclusion. Now we can see the whole essay. Cool. So remember, your essay just need to have 4 paragraphs, and it's okay. You must be careful with with your spelling. I'm correcting here with my 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 computer, but you will not be able to do that. So when you are doing English tests, they do not allow you to correct. You do not have Grammarly or any artificial intelligence in your computer. Okay, so yeah, so let's go. The importance of opening a bank account, which is something extremely simple in this case, which has always been discussed, has now become more important. It can be strongly agreed upon the fact that this matter has some convincing arguments despite the contentions about it. This essay will discuss not only the necessity of opening a bank account, but also the importance of requesting a loan. Okay, let's go. At the outset, there are numerous reasons why opening a bank account has some negative aspects, but the most alarming one lies. Cool? So lies in the fact that people can request loans and it can lead to negligence and paying high interest rates. Nevertheless, it can be a contributing factor to not being well threatened at all places that can provide this service. As an example, some workers at building societies and credit unions do not treat people as they deserve when they decide to open accounts. For this reason, many persons are more likely to open accounts at banks. At banks. By knowing this, and also after being a real life example of how not to be threatened, I decided to open a savings and transaction account at the bank in the city in London. At the bank in the city in London. And to do that, I had to provide my driver's license together with my electricity bill. Cool. Pretty simple. So, secondly, some people tend to believe that opening a bank account can be addressed with some positive facets as well. However, the most predominant one stems from the fact that requesting a personal loan and being approved is something to commemorate. I can say that because I was extremely happy when my loan was approved. Moreover, when my loan was approved, oh, redundancy. I was extremely happy when my loan was approved. Moreover, when my request, let's change loan here, my request was approved, I decided to schedule the payment of my rent for the 10th of every month. Additionally, I also decided to schedule the payment of a debt I had with a friend of mine. For instance, I used my credit card to purchase a few sports clothes at Nike and Adidas to play soccer and tennis. The amount spent was $3,550, which was everything. To conclude, it can be assumed that the importance of opening more than one bank account is not only essential but also necessary. Even though it can bring some negative aspects, such as spending more than the available funds, they should not be overlooked. In my case, the negative aspect was that I had to cash the loan's money from the bank teller located at the bank, which was not the best thing for me, but I managed to do it anyway. So yeah, that's it. So an introduction, negative aspect, positive aspect, and conclusion. Cool. That's all. That's about this essay. I will save it. Yeah, now let's put it as another program. Yeah, let's leave the scenario like this. Now this is what you have, and this was what I wrote. So this was what I wrote. I hope it helped you. And now, yeah, if you want to download it so you can have this essay as an example for you, you just download it. I'm gonna leave this material here at the in this lesson. If you don't want to download it, if you want just to copy it, just copy it and practice. Cool. Remember that practice makes perfect. And yes, that's it for today. I hope to see you in our next class where I'm gonna give you homework to do. Yeah, just before finishing, do not forget to click on the like button, to leave a comment, and just tell me, I don't know where you are, but just tell me a few things that happened with you and you did not like, such as going to the bank and being not well threatened. Sometimes it happens. you know Not everybody likes to treat um, people well at the bank. I had problems. Yeah, not only, yeah, in my case it wasn't in London, it was in Sydney and at a few places in Brazil as well. Well, that happens. Cool. So just leave your comment below. Tell me what happened with you, how you managed to get out of that situation, and yeah, share with a friend of yours who needs to improve their writing or is gonna place a test or just needs to write essays. And that's it. I hope to see you on our next class. Bye bye.